Good morning, everyone. This is Bill, and it's January 14th, Tuesday, 2020. And I was asked some questions about grid-tied inverters, and there's a UL rating that went into effect last year that's called UL 1741. And what does that mean? Well, anybody that works with frequency knows that you can control watt production by your frequency, and basically, the lower the frequency, the more watts you can produce, and the higher frequency you can taper that wattage off. And so, with grid-tied inverters, they use software, and the software can be updated through the firmware. And most grid-tied inverters can be programmed to become 1741 compliant. The problem that I had with grid-tied inverters was that, hey, buddy, the problem that I had with grid-tied inverters, and putting them out there, is that grid-tied inverters didn't have anything to do with uninterruptible power supplies. Mainly because if the power goes off and you have a pass-through meter and you're using solely grid-tied inverters, then your power goes off anyway. It's been very evident with different storms that have passed through different areas where population had a lot of solar power, for example, wind power, or other home type emergency backup systems that really weren't emergency. The whole idea in sales presentation that people sell these things with is that, hey, you can produce your own electricity, and for the monthly payment that you're making, you can get a return on investment. And that's true to a point. However, last year at the end of 2019, a law went into effect to where everybody has to have UL compliant grid ties. And if you're tied to the internet with them, they can update your software, and they can actually throttle the grid-tied inverter to not produce any extra. They can slow the production down and throttle your production. So that's the reason that I've always chosen the approach in talking about emergency power generation. And everybody is looking for the magic to where they can be off the grid, and I've always said, hey, you're not going to get off the grid. I mean, the grid is really the safest thing for most people. Just basically you can set it and forget it, go on vacation, and come back home after even a year and turn the lights on, and it works. So you're never going to hear me talk about the grid, but you're going to have to be careful if you're thinking about investing in the microinverter market and putting a pass-through meter up. You have to understand that the utility companies are in the business to produce electricity for consumers, and they really don't want to buy any electricity back. And so there's several reasons for it. But as we also can see in California with the power company out there, with the forest fires, they've been able to shut down the grid in the name of ecology because they got sued for down power lines. And so they just said, okay, we're going to avoid being sued again. We'll just shut down the grid, and that way we make Smokey Bear happy, because then there's no possible way that we can do that. So it's kind of a give and take thing with business. You know, they don't want to be sued, and with the different things that's going on throughout the world, the grid is the utility power grid. It does go off for more than an hour, quite a bit, for maintenance reasons, upgrades, and then we still have the storms and other things that happen as more people come online in the different areas. Things happen with grid, but I've always, said that the grid day in and day out, when it's properly maintained, right of ways are kept clean, and they're doing their jobs, managing it correctly, it's really the safest and most dependable unit. So I've always said, protect the grid, protect the grid, protect the grid. The emergency generation, though, is should the power go off, it's nice to have an uninterruptible power supply, whether it be a generator, inverter that automatically kicks on and runs the power. The only thing is they have to be sized big enough to run your house. Like on my house, if I turned everything on, I could run a lot of kW here on my house, and that caused a problem itself. And then when you're doing battery backups, one of the things that I'm interested in, because I'm part of it, is manufacturing my own batteries. And when you learn the carbon-based battery, they run cool, and the glass type electrolyte that we can now use, and I just happen to be on top of all that research and know how to do it. I know that batteries are going to get better and better and better, and the different licensing techniques to build those batteries are coming up. In my opinion, the electric cars are going to be a fast-growing market, especially because as people do find out more about emergency grid type operations, and they can do some things by having an electric car. Same way with a lot of areas have people that have golf carts and they ride around, and they have battery supply right there already ready to go on 4 wheels that they can transport around pretty handily. So it's different ways of thinking about energy. I've never claimed getting energy for free. You don't get something for nothing. And but I just want to make people aware that you have to do more thinking, that the utility company is in the business of providing electricity, and they don't want any competition. And the UL 1741 is the way that they can and will throttle your production. Let's say on an inverter that's 1741 compliant, they can operate the grid at 59.5 hertz, for example, and then they can ramp it up to 61 hertz and make your production through that inverter only be about 20%. And at 62.5, it shuts off completely. So when you understand the reason for the smart meters and everything, they're in business, and they set up the infrastructure, the poles and wires. That's the reason I've always just focused on the emergency generation side, and the they're going to write legislation and rules that protect their industry. And, you know, when you have that large of investment, you can't blame them for that. So just be aware of, you know, the idea of the power goes off, it's just, you know, the mains power comes off, that switch goes off, and then you can run an emergency generator, and then you have to go back and manually reset that after you shut down your generator or whatever to make that work. And that's the area that I'm intending to stay in. So just wanted to give you an update. I'll have some new stuff to show you here pretty soon between now and the end of the month. I'm very excited about, been working hard, and wish I had time to go into the conversion of the AC Delco alternator and show you the that part of it. Also, I have planned to go through the Tesla patent that I referred to earlier that demonstrates that he was building a dynamo and what the difference in a dynamo is and a generator, and how to use those correctly. So I'm going to sign off for now. I hope everybody's having a great new year. I hope everybody's having fun, because we are. And just keep working and keep at it. And I hope to get more involved with the things I really want to do, but I'm having to keep my nose to the grindstone to keep things done. Just a quick update. So you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you next trip.